So this video may start off sounding like I'm going to be funny, but this is actually a serious video. Serious enough that I might even ask people to share it around. I think this is a video people should see, as a matter of fact, because the truth is I've already shot it and I'm actually filming this afterwards because I got done and I was like, people should see this video. So if you don't mind, give it a share. What Conor tweeted about DC, and Chael made a straight up threat at him. Like he was just like, there's only a few people in this game that matter. Me, Bisping, I can't remember. He said a couple others that clearly don't matter to me, son. He said those two, and I think he said two others. He's like, they're the only ones that matter in this game. If we stop talking about you, you don't exist. You know, if we stop talking about you, you don't exist. All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now, we are going to do a little update, okay? So I'm going to update my opinion on something because I did a video the other day that was titled something along the lines of DC and Conor beef goes deeper than you think. And if you actually watched the video, what the actual point of that video was, hey guy, hey you, why don't you come on down off your high horse? Come here. Your high horse? Come on down for a minute. Tell me about why you think you're in a position to chastise Conor. You know, what have you done that has made you the book of moral rectitude? I'm so excited to hear why you are such a good person. Yeah, so that was the point of that video. And I actually hadn't even read what Conor said to DC. And I think I need to address this because guess what? I'm about to jump on the same moral rectitude horse. And so I think there's got to be some context, right? So yeah, that's what we're doing here is I'm going to go, I was wrong, kind of. Not really, because I still think people should just stay off the horse, okay? Because the way I'm going to do it is actually not getting on the horse, okay? I'm going to tell you what Conor's actually going through, and I'm going to tell you why no one sees it this way. I'm not necessarily saying that he's, worthy of sympathy, whatever. I'm going to go hard on him for this thing that he did. Like just this thing, not at him personally, like as a human being, but this thing that he did is unacceptable. Like, just, there's not another word for it, dude. Just this one thing, okay? Now, if Conor or his team sees this, I would hope that you guys would take the time to go look back at my content because I am an enormous Conor fan. And I literally just did a video saying I love Conor and I'll always root for him. This does not change that. But this shit is, you can't ever fucking do this again. Like, you can't ever do a thing like this ever again. Like, seriously. This is a non-starter for you ever. So, I would assume people are like, oh, he must be talking about the Khabib, Khabib's dad and COVID. I'm not. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? But anyway, so the first thing that everybody needs to understand is like, Conor's not in a good place, okay? Like, again, in the event that Conor saw this or his team saw this, I'm not saying it like he's like in some permanent like black hole. I'm saying that he's an incredibly active guy, right? Who constantly works out. He trains and trains. Like these are all things I know from my own life. Okay, like if you're in a routine of training every single day, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you can't do that. Like, you can do pull-ups, but you're gonna have to, be in a wheelchair to get there, very carefully get up to the thing here. Like, dude, that is tough on a person's psyche. It just is. And on top of that, you got the whole world shitting down his throat, okay? Now, this is the thing that I want people to really understand. The reason why I'm so good at predicting what people are going to do, like, oh man, Jesse figured out that this was the fight that was going to get made, or like he figured out that this was it. Like, it's a very simple skill that is autopilot for me, but apparently is more rare than I assumed, okay? That is just purely an empathetic approach to trying to understand people, okay? Like, I just approach everything like there's no such thing as a good person. There's no such thing as a bad person. There's only what you do, right? There's only, like, literally, if you're a person who thinks about murdering people every single day and you never murder anyone and instead you spend your time at, a charity drive, like, raising money for homeless people, you're a good person. You're being a good person, right? Like, all that matters is what you do, okay? And also, people are all relatively the same. Right? So circumstance is really what differentiates us. So unlike most people who look at people like Conor McGregor, I still see a person. Like, I just look at him and I'm like, it's just a person. Like, it's just a person like me who happens to have $400 million in the bank and is one of the most famous people in the world. And here are the circumstances of the fight game and all that. Like, I just look and I go, how would I feel in this situation, right? Like, how would I feel? Now, of course, it's easier for me in a thing like mixed martial arts because there's a lot of like my personality is obviously pretty similar to a lot of these guys. Where like if it was like, hey, what do you think about this like MIT scientist, you know, who like ended up in blah? I'd be like, I mean, I can guess if it has to do with like his personal relationships, but you know, actually no, I'd probably be able to do that too. It's irrelevant. The point I'm making is like Conor's not in a good place, understandably. Okay, like. Of course he's not in a good place. He feels, I mean, even if he won't public, I mean, he never would, but even if it's unconscious to him right now, he feels vulnerable for the first time, okay? Like anybody that trains in martial arts, be honest, as you get good or get better or whatever, even moderately capable, one of the benefits of that is when you're walking around in your life, you know that you're dangerous. Like dangerous is the wrong word, but like, you're capable, you know that the majority of people, if they pressed you, would lose. Like they would lose. You would handle it. So like, think about what Conor normally feels like. Like think about that. Think about what Conor normally feels like. He literally is walking around like, yeah, there's basically zero people in the world, you know, outside of heavier weight classes in the UFC that would have any chance against me in a violent altercation whatsoever. Now, and what I'm saying, like, if people think that when you go into like a business environment, which there's absolutely no possibility of any kind of physical altercation, that still doesn't play into your psyche, you're wrong. You just haven't really thought about it because it plays into everything. Okay, Conor has a shattered ankle. Okay, for the first time in his adult life, he's like, I'm vulnerable. Right? Like I'm vulnerable right now. He's vulnerable for the first time ever. Like he would have to probably permanently injure his leg to be able to win in a fight against an even moderately athletic person right now because he can't put any weight on his leg. You know what I mean? So like, think about that. Think about how much shit he's taking. Think about the fact that like, you know, he's stuck in a house. I mean, like even like the reason why people can't really wrap their brain around like what a person like him is going through is because people are all caught up in their own shit. And I understand this. Like, this is why I'm explaining it this way. Is like most people, the things that they worry about are not the things that they have, right? They don't like, that's why people, you know, take their family for granted if they're not being very conscious of it. It's like what they think about is, man, if this works out and this works out, I can get that thing, you know? If this works out, this works out. So if I do this, then I can get that thing. And you look at a person like Conor and it's like, okay, well, you know, he's globally famous and he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He has achieved everything that I am trying to go after by a factor of 1,000. And thus, he's not a person, you know? Like his problems can't mean anything. Like because he has made a bunch of money and he's famous. So his problems can't be real. They can't be real. But the only reason you would think that is because you're looking at his life through the paradigm of your own, you know, which is like, wow, if I got that, then I would have no problems. It's like, okay, well, can you try to imagine what it's like to literally have half the population on Earth shitting down your throat on Twitter and you're stuck there having to read it? I mean, and this is the thing. I want to make clear again, I'm going to fucking rail on him for what he did. But again, this is context, man. Like, this is context because again, you get the point I'm making, right? So I'm not retracting what I said from my last video because my last video was like, get off your high horse, man. Like, just stop it. Like, stop pretending you're a better person. And this is probably a better way to explain what I meant, but just get off your fucking high horse. Stop pretending like you know what it would be like to be fucking Conor, dude. And you know, if you're like, well, look at Khabib. Okay, well, you're not fucking Khabib, are you? You know? Yeah, I agree. Khabib is an incredibly disciplined man and a very, very impressive man. Very disciplined, very principled. Anybody who doesn't respect the way that he lives has something wrong with them. But that's not you. You're not fucking Khabib. So what the hell does that have to do with your opinion of Conor? Anyway, so here's the thing. So what I saw that Conor did, actually, let me rewind. So Chael, the way I found out about this is Chael did this video last night where he's like, he's talking about what Conor tweeted about DC, and Chael made a straight up threat at him. Like he was just like, there's only a few people in this game that matter. Me, Bisping, I can't remember. He said a couple others that clearly don't matter to me, son. I'm just kidding. But anyway, he said those two, and I think he said two others. He's like, they're the only ones that matter in this game. If we stop talking about you, you don't exist. You know, if we stop talking about you, you don't exist. It was a direct threat, okay? And I like that from Chael, not because I'm like, yeah, screw Conor. What I like is I've seen Chael do that 2 times. He did it once in this case when it was, we'll get into what Conor did. And the other time was when Spotify tried to run Joe Rogan off of like the Spotify SJWs tried to run Joe Rogan off Spotify, which means Chael and I have the same trigger, an absolutely no compromise, no excuses, no nothing. This shit is no, okay? So like I said, I've seen Chael do this twice. And it's in this thing that he did with DC is in the exact same vein, identical as when he went off and he was like, you guys want to go to fucking war when he about Spotify, when he heard that the Spotify people were talking about kicking Joe Rogan off for doing whatever. So what Conor did, right, that is in this category of non-negotiable is, so basically he did the thing about so COVID good, father evil, ill-advised for sure. I mean, dead family, man. Like, I don't know. Again, I'm not, I've heard everyone do this, so I'm not trying to for the 100th time, I love Conor. Like, I genuinely do. Enough to where I can talk about this way and try to, in the event that someone sees it and he ends up seeing it, you're literally my favorite fucking fighter ever, man. But I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't tell you, this shit can never happen again, dude. Can fucking never happen again, ever. So, anyway, DC responded to, and I'm not talking about the Khabib, don't do the Khabib thing, but that's not what I'm talking about, what I'm going to talk about in a second. But so he does the Khabib thing. Him and Khabib have a huge conflict. Khabib called him evil in front of the whole world. Conor made a very poor choice in his response. Whatever. The end. Okay? DC talked about it on television. And here's the thing. DC and Khabib are foxhole brothers, dude. These guys are trained. These guys are in the trenches together. You don't get closer than those two guys. Given that they, came from different worlds and, they are so close. If you guys watch the videos of them, when they see each other in fight wherever, those guys are super close, man. If something happened to one of those guys, the other one would be they would have a mural in their house up for the other guy. It's a relationship that matters, but to both guys. And so DC is obviously super protective of Khabib, and Khabib's dad just died, man. And DC was there for it. DC's he was there for it. You know what I mean? It's not from the whole thing. He saw Khabib with his father through his whole career, and then he's there with Khabib, throughout training camp or whatever. I think he was, you know what I'm saying, right? This is not Abdulmanap's not some fantasy person that's in Twitterverse like he is for most people. He's a real person. Khabib is a real person, right? So he's protective of Khabib. And so he's dude, what are you doing, man? He was what? This just here's the other thing. I don't think Daniel Cormier is a boozer, not a real boozer, so the thing that I what I think of is kind of a thing that some people don't understand is if you've never been a binge drinker, right? And believe me, I understand to anybody who falls in this category that just saying that a person has been a binge drinker probably in and of itself puts them in a category that is extraordinarily unfavorable. But anybody who went to college and was in a fraternity and has spent a good amount of their time drunk, right? Drunk. They know something that other people don't, right? Which is that if you're drunk like that, there is a different person driving the car, man. We'll get there. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. But anyway, so DC came to the defense of Khabib and said, look, to me, it looks like a cry for help, you know? Like, this just looks like a cry for help. And that's what I'm saying, is if DC's never really been like a drinker, I can see how he would take it that way. What I see is I'm like, Conor's stuck in his house and he's getting drunk. That's what it looks like to me, you know? Like, Conor's stuck in his house, he's getting drunk, and, you know, he's angry, right? Like, he's drunk and angry. He types these things out, and then he deletes them, right? Or he's wherever. Like, I don't know where he's at. Like, you know, but like, he's drinking, and then he writes these things and deletes them. That's, I mean, especially this thing with DC, he just looks drunk to me. And so maybe he needs help. I don't know. But he owns a whiskey company. I mean, to act like it's surprising that he's boozing would be silly. I would say if this is what I suspect, which is, you know, he's getting drunk, like, he should definitely put his phone away when he drinks. Like, definitely. But, you know, I don't think DC's just doing what, of course he's going to do. Like, of course he's going to say something like that about, like, Khabib's his dude, man. So then they went back and forth, like, you know, DC's like, you know, you should pay closer attention to the guys that are beating you up. Conor took offense to the fact that DC said that Dustin checked his kick, whatever. They go back and forth. And then, here we go, okay? I know, but the fucking build up to this. What did he do? So then Conor sends these tweets, okay? And this is what I'm talking about. So he says, Daniel Cormier is a fat mess. See, he called him fat. Red line. I'm just kidding. Daniel Cormier is a fat mess. Getting into worse condition by the day. God bless him. Showing up drunk at media events the very day before he was in the booth calling my fight. Drunk at a media event working the day before being a commentator in the biggest fight in history. It is a sackable offense for a commentator to be drunk at press work the day before commentating the big fight. Dreadful. Get it together. Belching in the mic at a press event and all, what the WTF. The day before commentating the big fight. Is this guy serious? Disgraceful. Your back situation's just mental too. Your weight and way of life is abysmal. And now, drunk at work the day before you commentate a McGregor event. Pitiful. Congrats, John, on his head kick KO anniversary for you. Good always defeats evil. Wasn't sure you were evil. Fakes. The red line part, if you guys can't figure out where this is going, is I have a fucking no negotiation policy about people going after other people's jobs. Like, fucking no, like, there will be no quarter given on that with me at all. I don't give a fuck. Conor could, you know, I mean, look, like I said, I'm trying to frame this in a way that's like, Conor, you can't fucking do that, okay? Like, I'm not, you know, so I'll never root for Conor again. I'll root for you the next time you fucking fight, man. But you can't fucking do that. Never again. You can't ever do that. Especially given dude, like, you have fucking $400 million. You are not in a category of people who can publicly try to get a person fired. No one is. And you really aren't, though, dude. Like that, I mean, you can't do that, dude. People, you attack a man's way of providing for his family. That is like, I'm trying to not be dramatic, like, you know, and I have gone through this shit. Like, that's why, like, I've been in the reason why it's so easy for me to imagine being Conor is because I had two situations in my life already where one, founded a company with four partners, was afraid that we were going to get regulated out of existence, sold my position in the company, you know, 6-figure exit, thought I was a genius. They sold it in 2015 for $85 million. Yeah. So that happened. Okay. So that, and anybody who's watched Jesse on Fire Startup and saw the reality show about me building my startup. Okay. So if that show got all the way to series, like it was supposed to, we're DraftKings. Okay, no one will ever convince me that that's not the case. We would have had more exposure than them with a reality show with me on there. Everybody would have gotten tied to my journey. We would have been DraftKings. At the very least, a right there competitor with DraftKings. DraftKings were $30-40 billion. Okay, that's what would have happened for sure. Okay. So like, I don't see people who have hit big like this as special, you know, like the reason I was in those places was a series of good luck followed by a bad decision here and bad luck over here. Like, and had those things gone my way, would I be a different person? I'd probably be I don't know. I don't know what would have happened if I got money like that when I was younger. The point I was actually making though, is when the end of the startup sold the company, okay? Sold it for if you go and look up press releases, you'll see a big number. But what actually happened was we sold it for a real big number. And then the stock portion that was for common stockholders was piggybacked that we couldn't sell, okay? So I'm, on paper, I'm a multi-millionaire, like I'm good, dude. I am good. And then the CEO of the company that acquired us got popped embezzling a fuckload of money, had hid $30 million in Dubai or some shit, and boom, stock went to zero. Lost it all. And then in addition to that, found out that they had not paid the equity lines that were in the company, which I had personally guaranteed. And so even though I had sold them and legally they did owe them, on paper, as far as the bank is concerned, I personally owe them. It's like, oh, you just lost all that in stock. It's like, oh, well, you also owe another $375,000 also. It's like, so that's the situation I found myself in. And then, well, this actually happened kind of in tandem. All the Democrat states with like attorney generals that were Democrats made daily fantasy illegal, okay, for a short period of time, just so they could jack up taxes. They all ended up legal. It's just now it costs $50,000 for a license in every single state. And then it's also an additional 15% tax on top of all that. But the way that they went about negotiating that was they just made it illegal, right? Like Eric Schneiderman in New York, he kicked it off. And then Chicago, Illinois, all these states that anyway. And so where I went from was multi-millionaire, I've won, to I have no options at all. Like I have no options, okay? None. I have 3 kids. I have a 5-month pregnant wife with my 3rd kid, and I have no options because my entire industry just evaporated, okay? So, and that happened in the matter of like, I don't know, 6 to 9 months from like, boom, I'm a multimillionaire to, oh my God, I have absolutely no options at all. Like I have no options, none, okay? So I've been there, dude. Like I've gone through shit people wouldn't, I don't think people can really understand what that's like, Like I really don't think anyone can actually understand what a swing like that feels like, to go from I've won, I never have to do anything that I don't want to do ever again, right? Like if I don't want to, I never have to do anything that I don't want to ever again, to never mind, and then, oh, also never mind, really never mind. And then also all your transferable skills, where you're the CEO of a company everybody knew got acquired, and you can just, slide into a C-level role in one of these other places. Oh, no. This entire industry doesn't exist anymore except for DraftKings, right? And they're completely wigging out if you don't have any transferable work experience. So I went from I never have to do anything that I don't want to do ever again to I would do anything to get one of those jobs that was the symbol of what I had beaten in my life. Like, you think that I have all these tattoos because like each one of them is, either each one of them means something, but what all of them mean collectively is I'm never working for the man ever again. Okay. You can guess when I got those. So in addition to you have no options, you now have a 3rd kid, your wife doesn't work, you have no income whatsoever, from multimillionaire, someone basically robbed my life from me, to not only having no options, but every day having to look in the mirror at a tattooed version of myself that was like, you're a lie, dude. Now the tattoos that meant I'll never have to do anything I don't want to do. I'll never have to work for somebody I don't want to. This will never matter. Like, it'll never matter. I can have as many tattoos as I want because I'm never going to have to work for anybody again. No, never mind. You actually have to go beg those people for a job, and you can never wear a short sleeve shirt around them ever again. I can't express to you, people do not understand what real struggle is, okay? Like, I mean, that's not true. Some people actually, this story would sound like fucking nothing to them. But people in America, most people in America, that grew up in the socioeconomic area, like place that I did, could never fathom the struggle that I went through. Can't. And I rebuilt myself. But when I hear fucking stories about people trying to take someone's job from them, I don't care how much money the person has in the bank. That is a fucking hard line for me. Never. It's never. Like fucking never. There's no quarter, no negotiation, absolutely none. It's literally like, you can't go after a man's ability to feed his kids, man. That is so yeah, Conor, I still love you, dude. Never again, dude. Absolutely never again. Ever. Talk all this, call him fat, say whatever the fuck you want. Never after someone's job again, dude. You can't do it. Anyway, but seriously, Conor, I really do love you though. People should see this video. So, if you don't mind, give it a share. If you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell.